Okay.
All right, right, Chelsea. Well, welcome to Lunch Therapy. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, you and I have become virtual friends and real life friends through the love of food, which is why I wanted to talk to you on my podcast.
And we're
You,
both an olive.
yes, and that's the other reason I wanted to talk to you because we both like to wear olive. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I know a lot about your food stuff. But and she's if you can't see her, she's drinking something very green. What's that?
So the theme is green. This is a
Yeah.
green tea. I don't want to a spoiler on my lunch, but it was part of my lunch collection.
Oh, yeah. Let's not get ahead of
Yeah.
ourselves. Yeah.
No.
But maybe can you talk a little bit about your love for food and has that always been there? Is that something that happened later in life?
It's hard to say, but I think it's always been there. I think both my parents love food. Um, I think I grew up eating, like my dad was an incredible cook. My grandma on his side was an incredible cook. And, my mom made a lot of like, we just certain things, frankly, from the joy of cooking really
Uh-huh.
stuck in my mind that we made together. The cheese souffle, the tapioca pudding, like a warm homemade tapioca pudding. There's kind of
Mm.
nothing that amazing.
I've never had a warm tapioca pudding
Uh,
before.
it's just like now, if you try a cold gelatinous tapioca, you're like, this isn't it.
Huh.
Because when you do it out of the joy of cooking, you're beating egg whites, which is the reason why I never make it. I kind of avoid anything where I have to beat egg whites. But
Really?
yeah, and then you fold them in so it's like the fluffy warm, and you like scrape vanilla beans into it, so it's just like
Mm.
it's very good. And we used to put, I feel like, mandarin orange segments on it.
Maybe I'll make that and bring it over to you, or you can come and get it.
Oh my gosh, you know that you're like, to me, like the dream person because you create joy and you put interesting
Oh.
people together. If I start crying,
I don't
listen, I'm
know.
in a bad place. I'll be the first to say it. But I think that's such a special gift. Some people
Oh.
can't assemble a group of people and make it fun no matter what. And I feel like you have that gift, and it's
Oh.
it's just so special.
Thank you so much. That's so sweet. I mean, it's funny because you probably only see the best of me or what I curate for the world. But like, I
Yeah.
mean, Craig thinks, that like, my husband Craig thinks that I like complain all the time, and
Really?
he says my memoir should be called Suffering in Stereo.
But is he Jewish? Are you Jewish?
I'm
I just
Jewish. Yeah, he's not Jewish. So maybe he's not used to
I honestly do. I mean, I don't want to, I'm not trying to be anti-Semitic
it.
self-hating or whatever, but I do
Right.
feel like it is part of how Jews are. And like sometimes when people imply that I complain too much, I feel like you're an anti-Semite.
I love that. Yeah, I'm gonna start using anti-Semitism in my marriage
As a
more. Yeah,
weapon against your husband.
yeah. I think
That's
it's
what I'm
fair
trying to
though.
do. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
so
do you feel like are you more of an introvert or an extrovert? Because I also feel like he doesn't get like when I was growing up, my parents, if there was a social gathering, like their attitude about it would be like, let's make an appearance, like we'll pop in, we'll pop out, we'll say hello, we'll leave. But like
interesting.
Craig's family is like, oh, I can't wait to enjoy everyone's company. And it's like, and that's like so
Right.
exotic to me, like enjoy people's company. What are you
Well,
talking
my
about?
dad is like, some version of an Italian Catholic. And we never even made it to things because he's like, it's too much of a production. That was his quote. Is
Yeah.
always like, oh, I want to have a play date with so and so. And he's like, it's too much of a production.
Got it. So
So
both your parents were they sort
no,
of
my mom has more energy than you could imagine. And
mm,
I think she is more extroverted. I think whenever I've done Myers-Briggs, which I know is controversial, but
mhm,
I was just slightly more extroverted than introverted.
got it.
Um, so I don't know. I definitely, if I really like someone, I could see them every day, but I don't want to go to big parties all the time.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I feel like a lot of creative people are a mix of introverted and extroverted because it's like you live in your own head half the time and you're just like in your own internal world, but then you have to be able to put that out there. And if you can't do that, then you're probably not going to be very
Yeah.
successful in a creative field. So it makes sense to me that there's a mix.
Right. Like even novelists have to do like book signing.
Yeah, totally. I actually was just thinking about you doing your stand-up comedy because I watched this video of you that you posted at Largo, and like
Uh-huh.
you were doing this really funny like walk like with your legs like in front of the and it just seems like you really enjoy being in front of an audience too. Like it just seems like you seem very relaxed and that it's a lot of fun for you.
I think like I'm ambivalent about pretty much everything. So, oops, hold on.
That's
Oh my
okay.
gosh. Oh
Oh
my
wow.
gosh.
Wow. Talk
My
about being
phone.
extroverted. She's blowing up. Oh wow. Don't
No,
let
it
us
was literally a
interrupt.
text. Someone goes, "How was halal guy?" Because I ordered street meat last night, like halal
uh,
guy. They're like
sure.
rice, chicken, white sauce, red sauce. And so my friend who I talk about food with a lot,
Yeah.
um, he's the one who told me there's maybe no one more critical of pie in the world
Then
than I am.
you?
Yeah. So
Wow.
anyway, he was following up on that meal last night.
Interestingly, the only chef I believe that I've had a couple of chefs on here, but Chef Jeremy Fox, who is the chef at Rustic Canyon and Birdie and
Ooh,
G's, came on this podcast, and his lunch that we analyzed was from Halal Guy. That's what he ate
really?
for lunch. So,
Did he get the
you know,
chicken plate?
I think so. Yeah, I think that
Oh,
was what
that's
he
cool.
got. Yeah,
Pretty cool.
but yeah.
Side note on Rustic Canyon, it's so far that I haven't been there that much, but they had I don't know if it's still there, an outdoor patio set up in the
Hmm.
pandemic. And this is also whatever, people feel different ways about pork, but the pork chop was truly the best pork chop I've ever eaten.
I think maybe you told me that, or maybe somebody else had that same experience. But
Boring.
no, 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 no. I was remembering. It was like it was
Repeat.
coming. No, it was coming back to me. Craig and I got engaged there.
Really?
Yeah, it was not intentional. It wasn't romantic by any means. Like it
Oh
was
my
just
gosh.
because like I had helped us like find the apartment that we currently live in, and so he was taking me out to thank me for that. And then he's like, by the way, like, because like we had friends who were starting to get married, and he's like, this isn't an engagement dinner, like, don't get excited. But then like we were at this dinner, and I were like, well, why shouldn't we get engaged? And oh yeah, I guess we will. Like, let's just put it on
Oh.
Facebook. And once you're gay and you put it on like Instagram or Facebook, it's like everyone it just everyone comes out of the woodwork to celebrate you because at the
Now,
time it was
do people also come out of the woodwork to hit on you that like want to try to test your bond?
oh no, but that's a good reason. Maybe I should renew my vows to
Yeah.
see.
Try to tease them
Yeah.
out.
Well, Chelsea, I think we should just get right into the therapy session. So
Okay, I'm
what
ready.
did you have for lunch today?
So I wound up late in the game ordering Sugarfish.
Hmm.
I did have dessert
Okay.
and I did have an iced green tea.
Now I'm very familiar with Sugarfish's menu because there's like only three options, right? Which is like trust me. No, you're shaking your head. What?
I'm acting like we're on radio. I don't want to interrupt you, but I want you to know you're wrong.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I am wrong, I guess.
they have all the a la carte. So
Oh,
you don't have to order. I don't usually ever do the trust me's because it's like, listen, I don't trust you.
yeah. I was gonna say this brings up like an immediate question of
Yeah.
like trust as an issue. We could
Like
talk about
point
that.
blank, I don't trust you. I don't trust you to just intuitively know what a person you've never met, likes to eat. I mean, it's not a matter of trust. It's honestly misuse of the word.
Yeah. But okay, so what do you order that's not on the trust me menu?
There's a lot of filler fishes that I don't like on the trust me. It's like, trust me, I need to offload some fish, It's like,
What do you consider a filler fish? I think it's all
like
delicious.
some of the white fishes. Let me use this cheat sheet, and this is the box, it
Oh yeah, it
has.
comes with a really cool box with a guide that tells you how to assemble your sushi. I've ordered from there too. But yes, I can see. Very nice.
Anyway, I mean, first of all, I don't even like tuna. Right out of the gate,
Wow.
I don't like tuna. So there's piles of tuna and a lot of the trust me's. I'm like, I don't want a ton of mercury, and I don't like the taste of that tuna. It's like tastes like blood to me.
So you don't like tuna, you don't like throwaway white fish, but you like salmon. I have a feeling
I like
salmon is on your
salmon.
menu. Yeah. What
But I
about
gotta say,
unagi?
salmon very hit or miss with a lot of places.
Hmm.
Unagi I do like, but when it has the very rubbery, fatty skin, I don't love it. I got this other kind, I forget what it's called. Oh, I don't have it's not on the box.
Okay.
It's thinner and it's like less fatty. Anyway, I got that. I got sea urchin, which I love.
Wow.
I'm a recent convert to sea urchin. And I love their lobster roll, cut lobster roll. I got 2 scallop sushis. And I ordered I think kampachi with shiso because I love shiso, but then it had skin on it. I have a thing with skin with
Mm.
fish where unless it's crispy, it kind of skeeves me out. So
I feel like we have a lot to unpack here. I mean, there's so much. I mean, we could talk about the skin, we could talk about trust, but I feel like for
yeah,
starters, I feel like the specificity of your order
yeah,
speaks to like the specific way your brain works too. Like, I feel like you have a very specific point of view about everything. So, I mean, have you always been that way about food? Like a strong sense of what you like and what you don't like?
probably. I mean, when I think about that, I feel like my family's all very opinionated. So if they cooked something good, they probably would be like, this is what makes it good,
Mm-hmm.
since I was little. So that probably informed a lot of my decisions.
Interesting. So, like, what were some of the things that you remember from growing up besides the warm tapioca pudding
And the cheese souffle.
and the cheese souffle?
Um, my mom made a lot of baked chickens, and
Yes.
crispy skin is crucial.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she did a salad every night, which honestly, hats off. Like for me, making a salad is like, it takes so much for me to make a salad because washing all the lettuce. But then when I do, I love it, but it just feels like mentally a hurdle for me. She
Yeah,
made
I
a
think it's
big one.
annoying to
Yeah,
have to
she would
wash
make a big
lettuce.
salad every night, and she very infamously likes cooking for color. So she would
Yeah.
she would put in like things because she liked the color, whereas I'd be like, but how's it taste? But anyway, her salad dressing was good, very tart, very tangy. I love tart as a flavor,
Yes, I
and
can see
some
that.
people do not, some people don't. So I forget what we were talking about now.
Well, we were talking about your strong opinions about food now,
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
you always had them. So it
Yeah.
sounds like you grew up in a house where you mostly enjoyed the food that you had to eat as a kid.
Yeah, but a house of very opinionated know-it-alls
Yeah, I'm
with
sure.
like, strong food taste. We ate a lot of artichokes, which I've learned as an adult, a lot of people have not eaten artichokes.
Did you eat them whole steamed and like peel
Yeah.
off the leaves? I feel like, yeah, my mom loves doing that. I find artichokes, I don't get them. I don't quite
What?
understand. I just don't,
Whoa.
I've never
Well,
fallen in love with an artichoke. And I think it's because when I first started dealing with artichokes, I was trying to do those like recipes where you like peel all the leaves off while they're raw and then like cut
no,
cut
no.
around the thing and pull out the
This is the
choke.
thing. You take an artichoke, you put a little white wine, a little bay leaf, maybe a couple, garlic cloves, and
Yeah.
you get all that flavor into them. And then I like to make, which is a variation on what my mom made, which is mayonnaise and lemon mixed together, but
Mm-hmm.
till it's like really lemony and liquidy. And I add a little Frank's Red Hot, and then you dip
Oh,
it, and it's so good. And when I was pregnant, that was one of my top cravings, artichoke.
yeah. I mean, and also you can't you make like ones like stuffed with breadcrumbs like in the middle? You don't want to do that.
You could.
Her face is revealing so much. I wish you guys could see it,
It's
but yeah.
like oysters Rockefeller or just oysters raw with lemon and
Right.
horseradish,
The purity of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
artist. One sweet thing about my parents, they're both very, my mom's like, they could be difficult, but I do remember if my mom ordered an artichoke at a restaurant, my dad would help her cut out the heart for her. Like,
Mhm.
it was very romantic.
Now, when you say cut out the heart, what are you talking about? You mean take the
The
inedible
choke out.
part? Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
middle
He
of
would
it.
like scoop out
Yeah,
the choke for her. It was,
that's sweet.
it was a very
Now, see,
gentlemanly
this is
gesture.
what, yeah, yeah, it is. It's hard though, because the more you help each other in a marriage, that when one of you passes, there's so much you can't do. Like my grandmother didn't know how to pump gas when my grandfather died.
Really? That's
So,
sad. I mean, I don't know why I'm laughing, but that's really sad and
well,
funny at the
because
same
it's
time.
like such a dark turn. I really
Yeah.
shouldn't have gone there, but sometimes it's good to just go with your gut.
But sometimes, like, if your partner passes, you realize how much you were capable of. Like, I
It's
mean,
a great feeling.
yeah, like when Craig goes away, it's like he always takes the garbage out. I'm like, oh, that's so hard to have to like wheel it down these steps from the back of our apartment. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
I could
Do you
ever do
know
it. And
what
then,
the French call like a business trip when your spouse takes a business trip?
no.
Le petit mort, which means the little death. No, I'm just kidding. I think that's what they call it.
No, that sounds right. That sounds very French. I believe it. So in terms of I think you talked about being Jewish and Italian. And in
Yeah.
terms of cuisine, do you feel more allegiance to one more than the other?
Yeah, Italian. But I do love latkes. I love blintzes.
Mhm.
That's my two main Jewish loves. A lot of, I don't know, what are your main Jewish loves?
God, I'm like a terrible Jew. I mean, I was just talking
Yeah.
on my last podcast about how Craig has been with me for 15 years and he's never been to a Seder. And it's like, I'm pretty
Lucky.
embarrassed about that. Yeah, I'm lucky. Is that what you just
No, I'm
said?
not like a big religious person, so
Yeah.
I don't spend a lot of, and Seder's are honestly hell on earth.
Oh, we know what it is. Like, I love bagels. I love like
Oh yeah,
cream
bagels. I
cheese.
love a
Yeah.
bagel
White
and
fish
cream cheese.
salad. Yeah. All the
Yeah,
Jewish like bagel fixings. I remember my grandmother used to take me to this place in Boca Raton where I went to high school and grew up
yeah.
basically, called Bagel Works. And like you can get like a bagel cream cheese, but you could also get something called the Works where you got like 3 little containers. You got like I got smoked salmon spread, scallion cream cheese, and white fish salad. It was very
And then you go
special.
to school and you're like, hi.
Oh yeah, my grandmother used to eat raw red onions on everything, and she's like, "People say I have bad breath." Like,
Yeah,
well,
you're
it might
like,
be all the
people are right.
yeah. Where were we
Nothing
talking
a
about?
little
Jude?
black
Yeah,
coffee couldn't wash down
I know those smells of like onions and black coffee on
coffee.
someone's
I feel
breath.
like
Like,
that's,
yeah, it
yeah.
reminds me of my childhood so much. So, I mean, I think that's a pretty easy decision between the Jewish food and Italian food. I mean, come on, let's be
Yeah, I mean,
realistic.
I feel
Yeah,
bad. I don't know. I'm sure there's people who grew up doing more Shabbats and more things where they have like, I don't know. But the thing is, I'm not that into like rugula. I'm
yeah,
not that into noodle kugel. Sometimes it's good, but it's all kind of heavy.
yeah. I
Matzo
think,
ball soup, like my mom loves matzo ball soup. You know what? I like shav, but I think it's more of a Russian soup. It's like a counterpart to borscht. It's
hmm,
green and cold, and you can put all the same kind of little toppings and sour cream into it.
that sounds good.
And I love that. And it's made with sorrel.
It's funny because Craig's dad once tried to make, and he's not Jewish, tried to make gefilte fish from scratch.
Oh
And
God.
then like he said it was disgusting. But I told my mom that story and she was like, wait, no, I like gefilte fish. And I was like, does anybody like gefilte fish? It's
What
kind of
is gefilte
it's like
fish
kind of a
made of?
gelatinous. It's almost like aspic, I think, like where it's like a
Yeah.
jello fish
Oh,
mound. Yeah. But
I
it
don't think
comes
I've
like
ever
with like
tried it.
horseradish. Yeah, maybe
I
I'll
do
serve it
like
to you.
horseradish.
Yeah.
Horseradish and sour cream are two staples of Jewish food that I love.
Yeah. And I
But
normally do latkes at Hanukkah, so that's really fun because you
I
get
love latkes. Come on.
so with the Italian food, are you just like a pasta maven? Are
I
you
mean,
a
I truly love pasta. I think, my last meal, if I had one night left on earth, would probably be carbonara. I love
ooh, yeah.
carbonara. And unfortunately, Angelini makes a really good carbonara and it delivers. So it's like I have to try to force myself to eat it less frequently than I want to.
I feel like the last time you came over for dinner, you were trying to send me subliminal messages. Speaking of psychology, where you were just kept posting images of carbonara on your.
No, no. Honestly, that wasn't about you. I just do that all the time.
Oh, you just post a lot of carbonara.
Yeah, if I see a picture of carbonara, I usually will post it. And
And
pie.
yeah, that was my own narcissism then, which we should
Yeah.
probably unpack in a later session.
Yeah.
But, oh yeah, pie. So you've also talked about, I feel like you respond a lot to desserts on my feed. Like you'll get excited by pie or certain things that I
Yes.
post. Have you always been a dessert person?
Well, the truth of the matter is I'm just not an entree person. I love appetizers because they're interesting and exciting. And I
Yes.
love desserts for that reason. I feel like entrees are usually a meat or a fish, and it's
Mhm.
just not as exciting. I do love desserts, but I like tart desserts. Do you want to know the dessert I had today?
Yes, I just remembered. Yeah, we didn't ask about that.
I went to Proof for a coffee this morning and I had just last night, I'm PMSing and I start craving sweets when I'm PMSing.
Great.
And listen, this is therapy. I'm going to be,
No, I love it.
and I found myself on a list of like the 10 best cakes in Los Angeles, which is very like Kathy cartoon. And I sent it to my friend who just asked me how my chicken and rice was last night. And I sent him that list and he just put a ha ha because he just like clearly thinks I'm in a dark place. But
Right.
I think one of the cakes on the list was this cake at Proof, which is a vanilla passion fruit cake. Have you had
I've
it?
had it. Oh yeah, I love Proof. I can go there all the time if
Their
I
baked
don't
goods
stop
are
myself.
crazy. I
Yeah.
also love their thumbprint cookie with the little raspberry jam inside,
Mhm.
cornmeal cookie. That is really good. So the cake, I really liked it because it was very light. There wasn't too much frosting, which I kind of hate frosting. So it was light frosting with passion fruit, kind of, I don't know, like, what do you call that? Not
Layered.
gel, maybe
Oh,
curd,
gelée, curd.
maybe
Yeah.
curd,
Yeah.
like in the middle of it, and a very light white or yellow kind of light, maybe a sponge cake. I don't know. Not a sponge cake, but it was just so light and so tangy and not too much frosting. And I left what I would call the headboard of frosting at the back of the cake. I did not eat.
So in terms of your lunch sequence, you
Yes.
purchased this cake along with your coffee this morning, but you set it aside to
Yes.
consume after the sushi.
Yeah, because I had to do my workout. I do intermittent fasting because of
Yes.
my intermittent shitty eating. So I don't eat usually till lunchtime. And so I got my coffee, then I did some yoga, I did a bike ride, and then I had my lunch.
That's really nice. I feel like I do everything you do except for the intermittent fasting and the exercise. So I just eat cake and whatever I
Well,
want. Yeah.
I like really put on like crazy weight in the
Yeah.
pandemic
So
because
did I.
I was just like, there's nothing to do, there's nothing to be excited about. So food was like the little
Mhm.
parades coming in, and so I had to get myself together. So this is all sort of recent, but as you can see, I'm not into like a crash diet type life.
So in terms of the pandemic journey, like in terms of food and how you eat and cook, like what was it like before the pandemic? What was it like during the pandemic? And how has it changed after the pandemic, assuming we're out of the pandemic?
We're not.
No, I guess we're not. Yeah, we're vaccinated, post-vaccine, I
Yeah,
guess.
we're vaccinated. Well, my kid isn't, so that affects a lot of what
Yeah.
we can do and stuff. Um, before, I mean, I think that really truthfully, it really more coincides with before I made money
Right.
and after I made money, because once I started making money, I'm like, I'm gonna eat like a king and there's nothing to stop me,
Yeah.
and it's like when you're like not making as good of money and you look at menus and it's just like things you want that you're like, that's too crazy. And this, and then you make money and you're like, I can fucking eat whatever I want. If it's like the
Yeah.
movie Big or something where you're like, I'm an adult, I have a wallet. And so I think I just started eating more. And then writers' rooms, I was started writing for shows out here and I was so sedentary. So it's been a long, slow decline. But I just think the pandemic, all these restaurants, like fine dining restaurants, started doing delivery, which was before not an option. So that was like this little exciting journey to like search around and see who is doing delivery that didn't used to, like Major Domo, I think
Yeah.
started, and Vespertine was on there. I mean, it was like crazy stuff. Then after a while, it's just like, this is out of control. And I gotta,
Yeah.
I gotta find some other way to find joy. It probably is something spiritual that I need, that I'm looking for in food.
Oh wow, that's interesting. You just kind of like buried that there, but I think that that's probably true for all people who are obsessed with food. I feel like we're all searching for something, but
Well,
maybe
it's kind of like part of it is all the hunt of it. And, it's like finding something. Like I just started looking for like, oh, well, Michelin. I never really looked at Michelin lists by neighborhood. Like you can look up like Los Angeles Michelin restaurants, and there's so many that I've never heard of. And I was
hmm
like, oh, that's cool. I just get into like the researching and the like finding and trying something new. And, you know, it's probably, I should probably be using that passion for something else.
or no, I mean, you
I
gotta
don't
do
know.
what you gotta do. But what about your cooking journey? I mean, were you cooking a lot during the
Oh
pandemic?
yeah. Well, I was cooking for like, we didn't even order takeout when we didn't know much about COVID. We were just in the house. We cooked every single meal for like 2 months, I think, or 3 months.
hmm
And then as it became like, oh, it's not as much about surfaces, then we started ordering takeout, and then it was kind of off to the races because we were trapped with a toddler. We didn't have childcare coming. We didn't have any kind of cleaning help. So we were doing a lot and tired. So we just started ordering food a lot. And then now I'm kind of finding my way back to cooking a little bit, which is fun. I do love, like, as a mom, I love roasting things because you can just, get a big sheet pan and roast a bunch of different things. And you kind of put it in and then you get to do other things. And so it feels like it's doing work for you while you're, dealing with your child or whatever you need to do. So you could like put something in the oven, run a bath, put your kid in.
Yeah.
It comes out and dinner's ready,
Were you interested in cooking before you had a kid? Like, was it something you took pleasure in and enjoyed?
Oh yeah, I probably cooked more before I had a kid, and then lately I've been like, oh, I feel guilty. I'm like giving my kid takeout at meals, and he really does seem happy when I'm cooking. This is why the whole world conspires for you to just be like your identity just becomes like a mom.
Right.
But
I mean,
no,
is there? Yeah. I was gonna say, is there a favorite thing that you cook for him?
I'm trying to think. There was something I made him. Oh, he really likes bison. I made some rigatoni with bison, and I was kind of thinking of doing like macaroni and cheese and putting meat in it kind of vibe, but I just wound up making my own thing with no cheese, and it was just big rigatoni with lots of olive oil and truffle salt and little pieces of bison. And I think I put like he likes garlic. I put garlic salt, I think, and truffle salt and olive oil. And he just was like, these bison noodles are so good. So
I've never cooked bison before. I don't think I've ever even seen it in the store.
I think it's high in protein and low in fat, but it seems like there's some sort of food supply shortage with it now because I can't find it lately. But that seems to happen a lot now where you can't.
I lived in Atlanta for a while, and I think Ted, what's his name? Ted Turner tried to start like a bison burger craze. Like he created a bison burger restaurant, which he was hoping would turn into like a trend, but I don't think it did, as far as I know.
I mean, it's really good. I don't know about for burgers, but we use it for nachos sometimes. Like you can bake also that my son loves that. Like you could bake nachos, a big sheet with like, I was putting some sauteed bison with kind of taco-y spices on it and then putting it on there. And he really liked that. In the pandemic, I made these crazy like Tex-Mex enchiladas that, everyone was debating what they really are when I posted a picture of it, but he really liked that too.
So we were talking about your love of dessert, and you said you like tart desserts. And I'm wondering, do you think there's a link between liking tart things and being like tart in your personality? Yeah.
I doubt it. I feel like I could think of so many comedians where I'm like, I bet they don't like tart food. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I feel like a lot of comedians probably eat a lot of sweet things.
Yeah. But there is something about tart food, like enjoying the thrill of tartness, or just like there is something sort of that makes me think of like being irreverent and like poking the audience a little bit and like getting a reaction. It's like it does get your attention when you bite into something very tart. So
yeah, and it's like I feel like I do have like this thing. I'm not usually friends with blonde people that much, although I recently have made like a close friend who's blonde.
Okay.
But I feel like I also usually don't trust people if they don't like olives.
Oh.
Like there's certain things with food where I'm just like, if you don't like certain things, I'm just like, where's your joie de vivre? I don't know. I feel like you need a little more zest for life or something.
Wow. So, I mean, why olives though?
I don't know. I just feel like olives are so good. And it's like salty and tart and they're just so much flavor, kind of umami too, right? They're like bitter, salty, and tart. If you don't like that, it's like, what are we doing?
I feel like the common theme in your eating is that you don't like
Judgment.
anything. No, is you don't like anything that's like considered boring. Like I've noticed, like it's not like you're talking about like mashed
No,
potatoes
but
or.
I was just gonna say I love mashed potatoes. That
Oh,
was one
here
of
we go.
my
There
other
goes my theory.
my other huge pregnancy craving was jar. Their mashed potatoes
Oh yeah.
are absolute perfection. And I love mac and cheese, which is also like, I mean, I do love to put Frank's Red Hot on my mac and cheese, but
Hmm.
I love mac and cheese and I love, oh, one of my other big pregnancy cravings was diner grilled cheese sandwiches,
Yeah.
just like the white bread, the American cheese. So no, I like too many things. I like a
What
lot.
don't you like? Are there any foods you refuse to eat?
Um, hmm. Oh my God. There is a
What?
squirrel like up against my window.
Is he want to be
Like
on the podcast? Yeah.
I don't know. He's like, I like acorns and magnolia flowers. Um, what do I not like? I do not
Yes.
like sun-dried tomatoes, but I feel like I'm coming around on it. You
I
made
served
that.
you. Yeah, I served you
I
sun-dried
know,
tomatoes.
I
Of all
know.
things that you don't like, I literally made you the number one thing you don't like. Okay. Good to
But I
know.
actually really did love that. And honestly,
Thank you.
before you suggested that, which I did say, yeah, let's do it. I was reading something about how sun-dried tomatoes are an umami, one of the main umami flavors. So I was like, oh, maybe I have to rethink them because I think of them as very 90s. Like
Yes.
people were doing them in kind of gross ways in the 90s.
But
So
it's so
that
funny
was
because I feel the same way about sun-dried tomatoes that I do about Phil Collins,
like,
where it's like they take on all this meaning. Like it's like Phil
yeah,
Collins means so much. Like it's like, oh, Phil Collins, but it's like,
right.
but Phil
But
Collins
it's a
wrote some.
good song. Good
Yeah, he
song
wrote
is
some
a good
good
song.
music. It's like there's nothing wrong with Phil Collins music. It's just people attach so much meaning to like
Yeah.
what that is. And I think it's the same thing with sun-dried tomatoes. It's like
I'll say
we're
I do not like bell peppers, cooked
yeah,
bell peppers. Like some people
yeah.
really love peppers and onions. I'm not, but again, this is all with the caveat that I'm sure I could try them and there'd be some way I might, but like green bell pepper in particular, I hate. My dad loves it.
Mm,
I used to hate cumin. Now I love it.
mm.
Szechuan food made me kind of realize that cumin is kind of amazing. Um, I'm trying to think what else I don't like fishy fish. That's really
Mhm.
hard. I'm not as into meat as some people. I'm more into like carbs and dairy, which is bad for me, but
Mm.
um so yeah. Is that a,
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I mean, oh, did we lose you? Oh no, you just
I just
dropped
found
something.
a peanut on the floor.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe that's the squirrel what he was looking
Yeah, he was looking for your peanut.
for.
Well, it's funny because like I feel like I love carbs, I love dairy, but also it's like we live in LA, and do you feel like LA informs how you think about food, like the LA culture of like fitness and healthfulness? Like, is that something you're
If
aware of?
anything, it makes me like a contrarian. I will say though, I do love like Jewel, like vegan places in LA. Their food is so good that I do feel very lucky to be in LA, or certain smoothie places or juices and Air One and all those things. Like, so I do love that LA is health conscious in the sense that you can find delicious vegan food. Whereas, I know from traveling all over the country, sometimes it's really hard to find vegan food and find
Mm-hmm.
like health food stores where not everything is expired. And it's like, anyways, so I feel very lucky about that. But I also sometimes feel like a contrarian if I'm around like a lot of actors, male or female, who are like eating just small salads for their meal. I'm just kind of
Sure.
like, what life is that? I mean, I remember hearing an actress say that for her birthday, she doesn't have cake. She has like a cup of broccoli. And I'm just like, this isn't a life for me. This is
A cup
like,
of broccoli on her birthday.
yeah, on your
That is
birthday.
truly the saddest thing
I
I've
I
ever heard
know. And I
in my
think I
entire life.
really do think of it like every day where I'm like, I want to be fit like I once was, and I want to be skinny and all this, but like I also want to enjoy my life. So the idea of like not even on your birthday having cake, I just had cake on a Monday afternoon.
You're doing it right. That's how you've got to live your life. And that's my attitude, especially during the pandemic. I mean, I kind of let go of whatever fitness goals I had and just was like, I'm going to bake and eat and cook whatever I want whenever I want to,
Yeah.
because this
No,
is hard.
your baking skills to me are so like exciting because like I said, I'm scared of like I have a KitchenAid that I've used like twice. One
Mm.
time we made like peppermint meringues for Christmas.
Uh-huh.
It was so good.
That
But it's
sounds
just
good.
like it's so daunting to use. And I know like people who bake all the time, I just throw it in the mixer and then just this and that. Me, like if a recipe says use a mixer, I'm like, oh boy.
But
And
you
like,
talked about egg whites earlier. I mean, what is
yeah,
it about egg whites that you don't like?
just beating them into stiff crests. I'm like, this is science. It just feels like math and science, you
Uh,
know? I feel like my cooking style, if you're making a pasta sauce, you can improvise. I love to
yeah.
make a pesto. I have a lot of basil
Hmm.
in my garden. I can improvise, add this, add that, and then taste it and then go. But baking, it's like you have to have,
Yeah.
it has to rise and it has to brown and it has, it's like,
It's a classic dichotomy of bakers being very like rule oriented and like they like instructions, and then like more savory cooks like to
yeah,
be freer. And so clearly like you're a free spirit and you don't like to be
yeah.
hemmed in by the rules of baking.
But I wish that I was so knowledgeable, like when an
Yeah.
artist learns all the rules and then they can freestyle. Like I wish
Hmm.
I was like, so knowledgeable about proportions in baking that I could freestyle because I know the gist of what I need.
I feel like learning pie dough. I don't know if you make pie yourself, but like that was a game changer for me because I used to struggle to make pie dough. And
I
once I
made
figured,
one this
yeah,
pandemic and it was absolutely amazing. It was a sour cream crust
yum, that sounds great.
recipe
Yeah.
and it was so good. But I mean, again, daunting. Feels very
Yeah.
hard.
Well, for me, the key was learning to keep it cold because like everyone's like, make sure your butter is ice cold, and I was like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But like, I think like if it becomes gummy as you're rolling it out, it's like it ruins the pie. So it's like now that's my main thing. It's like I don't worry about overworking it, like when you bring it together, because I used to worry about that. It's just keeping it cold. Is the squirrel attacking you?
I mean, there's like strange sounds that I'm like, are you really trying to come in? What if it gnawed a hole through and came in?
Oh
What
my
would it
God, and killed you during this podcast. That would be
Yeah.
so sad.
Yeah.
Wait, what were we just talking about? Oh, egg whites. So beating them is
Yeah.
stressful to you. And but
Yeah.
the math science of it all. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So when you were in school as a kid, like were you not a math science person?
I was until no, I liked algebra. I liked solving for X.
Hmm.
I thought that was fun journey to go on. I think
Yeah.
once it turned into like trigonometry or calculus or something, once I got to college, I
Uh,
really hated it. And I think toward the end of high school, I started hating it.
when did you start doing comedy? I feel like that's a question I don't think I've ever asked you. I'm sure someone else has asked you, but
Well, I mean, I did take, I think, improv classes when I was a kid because I was a theater kid.
hmm.
And then I started doing stand up after college. When I graduated, I was temping and I met this temp who was like, I do stand up, you should do it. You get to control your own material or whatever. And so I started doing it after college. um I had been doing improv in college and I was in
Right.
the improv group at my school and then segued into stand up.
I did improv in college too. And it's weird because
Really?
like everything that I learned in college is fine, but I do feel like doing improv like paved the way for the rest of my life. And just in terms of like
Yeah.
how I think about people and, you know, creative work and just trusting yourself and trusting others. But
Say yes.
so yes, exactly. But did you immediately take to doing stand up? Like was it immediately like, this is what I like to do, or did it take a while?
It's an interesting question because I feel like it's just been, I thought, okay, I feel ambivalent about this, but I'll get some clarity. And instead I got like more success, but I still felt ambivalent about it and I still do. So, I think I've always had mixed feelings about it, but what I loved about it was the immediacy and, you know, being able to think of an idea and then get on stage that night and try it if you want to,
Hmm.
is an incredible feeling. Yeah.
How do you deal with it when it doesn't go well? I mean, does it get to you if you have like a bad show? Does it bring you down or
Yes, it
yeah?
does get to me. I used to listen to Shake It Off by Mariah Carey after shows. That was helpful. But you get you get better where you don't have like bad shows a lot.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm always picking apart what I did. And so even if like a lot of times I come off, I'm like, that fucking sucked. And people are like, what are you talking about? You know, like I did a show after the pandemic. I hadn't done a show in like a year and a half. And I went and did a show. And my friends, a couple of them texted me like, you killed. And I was like, did they talk to each other and say she seemed sad? Like we should tell her she did well? Because I was like, I definitely didn't kill. And I feel like I barely did okay. So like, why are they texting me this? Do they feel bad for me? It's just like a very like, you know, it takes me to a very like, you know, self-critical, self-doubting place much of the time. I mean, I remember Pete Holmes, we were talking about stand-up on his podcast many moons ago, and he was saying like before he goes on stage, he imagines himself killing. And I was like, I literally imagine myself bombing when I'm walking onto stage. Like I'm
Oh,
not,
that's funny.
you know, I guess by the time I'm walking on, I have to like tap into that part of me that's like, fuck it.
Yes.
But as I'm getting ready to get on stage, I'm like, I have nothing to say. You know, I have very negative voices in my head, and
Mm.
it takes a lot of work to like nudge them into like self-love and positive, and, you know, you're good at this, you know what you're doing, you have interesting things to say and all that. You know, it's like, I have to like retrain my brain to say those kinds of things.
I think of all the creative fields, like stand-up comedy is the most brutal in the sense that like there's no like, you know, gray area in terms of like, did people laugh or didn't they laugh? It's like, is it, I mean, I guess what people find funny is subjective, but generally speaking, it's like, you know, when I was on a writer's room for a comedy show, and like when I would pitch a joke, like it was very clear, like if the room laughed, it would go into the episode. If they didn't laugh, it wouldn't go. You know, it's not like that with music where it's like everybody agrees this, you know, symphony is brilliant or not brilliant. Am I making sense?
But I'm
Yeah.
sure behind the scenes, people are like, no, this cellist doesn't play with passion. They're technically
Right.
accurate. But I mean, I feel like any field you go deep into, everyone's like, you know, got hardcore opinions on.
Right. That's true. There's like anti-comedy and there's different kinds of
Yeah.
comedy. I
Yeah.
was going to ask you that you mentioned being on the road with
Yes.
comedy, and what are some of your favorite food cities that you've visited, or do you not
Mm.
mostly go to places that have great food?
Portland
Yes, that's a great
and
one.
the Bay Area,
Hmm.
Seattle. I mean, I like places, I guess, that have maybe fish.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like for
Comes
some
full circle.
reason, yeah, those places are exciting for some reason. And good coffee, like places that have good coffee, I feel like usually have good food.
Hmm.
um and I'm trying to think where else. Like I feel like Austin has some good places. Oh, I had amazing food actually in like, what is that place, it's like called 5 and 10 or something.
Yeah. Oh, isn't that Hugh Atchison's restaurant? Oh no, in Athens or Atlanta.
Yeah, something, I forget where. I follow them
Yeah.
on Instagram. Like they have their own garden and they cook from
Mm.
it. There was like a lot of interesting food in southern cities that I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like fusiony, interesting things they were doing. I do love southern food.
Yeah.
Um and then also of course like I hunt out like Chinese food. So I feel like Seattle had some amazing Chinese food, and I'm trying to think where else. New York is
Yeah, that's a good
obviously
one.
that's a great one.
Do you eat before you go on stage, or do you eat after a show?
It's a tricky one, usually after, but I'm so far from that lifestyle because I used to stay up till like 4 in the morning, you know, go eat
Right.
after shows and stuff. Now it's like, you know, my kid gets up at 7. I don't know how people do it and have like children, but yeah, so I used to eat late night a lot. I didn't like eating right before I get on stage. Like
Yeah, that would be really hard to eat right
you have a
before you go
bowl
on
of
stage.
chili and then you're trying to do like physical comedy. I don't know.
Well, it's funny because I also think of like the world of comedians, like the older generations, like eating like, you know, diner food on the road. But now it's like, as you describe all these cities you go to, I feel like you're part of this later generation where it's like food probably matters a lot more to the comedians you're with than it
Yeah.
did to like the Buddy Hackett's and the Dean Martin's.
Well, I don't know. I bet you Dean Martin ate well. I don't know. I mean, I feel
Maybe,
like
yeah.
if you think of comedians back in like the Hollywood golden years, they were probably eating really good.
That's probably true. Yeah. Like a lot of steaks and, martinis, I feel like that
Yeah.
generation. Um, Gotcha. So are you like mostly cooking these days again, or are you mostly ordering in? Like where are you at now currently in your life with food?
I'm probably ordering a lot, but I'm trying to cook more. I really am very conscious of like my food waste lately,
Mm-hmm.
where I feel like I waste a lot of food and I'm trying to improve. I feel guilty every time I like throw something out. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
so my mom came to visit during the pandemic and she is like leftover queen. She
Yes.
loves leftovers. So she would like clean out my fridge of leftovers. And it was so nice because I feel so guilty about that. So it was
Mm-hmm.
like, anyway, I've been trying to get better about it, but I'm not as into leftovers. So
Do you like
what
repurposing leftovers, like taking like leftover risotto and making fried risotto balls and stuff?
yeah, yeah, I'll do that sometimes, like, make garlic rice with leftover rice or
Mm-hmm.
something. But I'm trying to just order less food when I order because I just, yeah, like I said, when I started making money, I was like, oh, I could just get this for the table, or I could get this, and if I don't like it, I have the other dish, and it's just
Yeah.
like gluttonous, and I'm trying to improve in that way.
I was going to ask you about the whole trust me thing to go back
Yeah,
to your lunch. Like in terms of going to restaurants where you're not in control, like where it's like the chef would like to cook for you, or it's like a tasting
yeah.
menu. Like, are you okay to put yourself in the hands of somebody else, or do you really need to be in control of what you're going to be eating?
No, I think it's fun to not have to think about it and people just bring stuff out. But I do think there's a chance you just might not like some of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like really stressful if I feel like people are looking what's left on my plate because
Yeah.
sometimes I get Jordan to eat it if it's something that skeeves me out, like fish that skeeves me out or something, or too adventuresome, you know?
You have such strong
Um,
opinions about fish because it seems like you love fish, but you also hate
I
certain
know I
kinds of
love
fish.
filet of sole,
Mm-hmm.
and I love some salmon and I love oysters. I love, it's like I do love fish, but I just don't like when it's fishy.
Yeah. Like, what's the fish you hate the most?
Well,
Like mackerel or
I
something?
was gonna say mackerel, but I've never tried mackerel.
Oh, it's very oily,
My
but it's delicious.
yeah, my brother and my dad love mackerel, like sushi and stuff, and they'll eat it. And I'm always like, it just looks so dense and oily that it like
Mm-hmm.
they're like, yeah, feel like a seal, and they love it.
um, this podcast begins with what did you have for lunch, but it always ends with what are you having for dinner tonight?
What's the dimfo?
Yeah, tell us.
I have no idea. I
Well, that's what
usually
we're here
like,
for. Yeah.
yeah, I usually start panicking about dinner around 5 o'clock, and then I either cook or order. I was gonna try to go maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure. What are you doing?
Same. Like, I cooked a lot this weekend. I had friends over for their triple birthday celebration.
How was that cake?
It was good. I made a hummingbird cake. You might not have liked the frosting because it was very
No, I
rich.
love cream cheese frosting.
Oh, wow. You're full of contradictions. I never
I
quite know where I
know.
stand with it's like you hate sun-dried tomatoes, but you like it when I make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't like people who don't like olives. It's like it's
Well,
lots of
listen,
process.
rules are meant to be broken. I don't
Right.
I don't think like I like on record, I'm like, I hate soup.
Mm-hmm.
But I also love that like cold Korean soup that has the iciness in it and you pour the vinegar and mustard in.
Wait, you hate all soup except for
I
the
just
Korean soup?
My thing about soup is that it's just very boring, like to eat the same texture every bite. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like, and my mom loves soup. Like I come from soup people, but
Yes.
I find it kind of boring. And then again, if it's not tart or interesting, shav is interesting. That Korean soup is very interesting taste with the spicy mustard and the vinegar. Um, but yeah, in general, soup is just not going to be a go-to.
Wait, this could, I think I'm working on like a full theory of Chelsea Peretti's eating, which now is starting to really make sense, except for the mashed potato sidebar, which was its own thing. But you really do like food that is not boring. Like you don't want to be bored by your food. And I think that that makes sense
Are you
for who you are.
frozen?
Oh yeah, I froze for a second, but now I'm
Okay.
back. You were frozen too.
Oh, well, so you, whatever. So you already had this theory that I like not boring foods, but then remember I love mashed potatoes.
Right. The mashed potatoes thing is its own thing, which I think we should explore separately. But when you talked about soup being boring and that's why you don't like it, I
Yeah.
do think like it made me think of your tart desserts and made me think of like your
Yeah.
uni at your lunch. It's just like you want things to be interesting.
Yeah. Like I would have that Greek soup with like the lemony flavor.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine like your taste in lots of things is probably quirky and like specific, like in music and film. And like, I can imagine you having strong opinions and not necessarily watching or listening to the thing everybody is listening to or
What's your
watching.
favorite comedy film?
Oh God. Well, Defending Your Life with Albert Brooks and Meryl Streep is one
Great
of my favorite.
concept, high concept.
Yeah, isn't that not one of your favorite films?
No, I think it's good. I just recently been thinking about it because I'm like, that's what you want, like some
Yeah,
concept like that. I've been
yeah.
watching Nine Perfect Strangers. Is that what it's
Oh,
called?
yeah. I
Yeah.
haven't watched that yet. I just saw the previews for it.
Yeah, it's good. It's
That
actually
doesn't. Yeah.
freaking me out.
Oh yeah.
Like I had to stop watching Orphan Black because I started just getting like the heebie-jeebies. Like it's just freaking, it was just giving me chills. And I do kind of feel that way with Nine Perfect Strangers, but I'm still like, it's not scaring me enough that I have to stop watching it.
Do you not like scary things generally?
I do not like to be scared.
Do you watch your husband's movies?
I do, but I feel like the reason I can watch them is because they have this like social commentary
Sure,
and
sure.
they have like an intellectual quality that it's not like someone's banging on, I don't know, like
Well,
I don't
Us
like,
was scary though. Like Us,
yeah.
like I mean,
No,
I
they're
don't like scary
scary.
movies. Yeah, I
They're
mean, Get Out
scary.
was also scary too.
They're
But
definitely
Us,
scary,
yeah,
but something about like I liked 28 Days Later because it was like kind of heady and made me think about things. And Us made me think about something I think about a lot, which is like that whole concept of being tethered.
hmm,
You know, your life is enabled by other people's miseries, you know, and
yes.
what do you do about that? And so yeah, I think that it's more like I'm not into like someone's banging on the window and then they slash someone up and they're screaming the whole time. I'm like, I can't.
I mean, Craig was once watching this movie called The Strangers that has
Yeah,
Liv Tyler, and it's like a home
beautiful
invasion
girl.
movie, and it's it's literally like her and her husband in the house, and like people are trying to get in to kill them, and that's the entire
Oh
concept of the movie. And
no,
I was
no
so stressed
thanks.
out. Yeah, that I couldn't handle. But yeah, so this all came from me saying that you probably have very specific tastes, but then you turned the tables and asked what my taste was, and now I feel vulnerable.
Well, you know, it's interesting because if you're a therapist, which you are on this show,
Yes.
sometimes, you know, your patient is going to ask you a question or two.
Well,
And
it's like Stephen Sondheim says from your, he quoted Oscar Hammerstein, who wrote all those musicals, and said, from your pupils, you will be taught. You know what I mean?
ecstasy.
Well, no, like he was saying, like he learned more from Steve because he taught Stephen Sondheim, and it's like he was like, I learned
Oh,
as
you're
much from you. And so, like, as your therapist, I feel like what I'm trying to say is like I've learned more about myself in this session than I thought I might.
like what?
That Defending Your Life is a high concept movie. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, do you feel like we covered all your food stuff? Like, are you food analyzed? Like, did we miss major patches of like the foods you hate, your food issues, your favorite things to cook? Did we
You know
cover
what?
all?
I'm not sure about octopus.
Yeah, like ethically or flavor
No,
wise?
no, just well, now that I've seen my octopus teacher, I don't know. I mean, I always hope that I'm veering towards being vegan. I was vegan during the week for a while, couple years ago, and I really liked that. I've had trouble getting back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I hope that I'm headed in that direction because I do feel like it's probably ideal for everyone.
But as of
But
right now, you eat red meat and fish and
yeah.
poultry.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean,
But
yeah. I'd
but
like
I
to be
do.
vegan too. I'm sorry. It's like
Yeah.
there's like a little delay every time start talking. You start talking. But go ahead, please.
No, no, you go.
I was done. I don't even remember what I just said.
I just think like it's better for the environment. And also it's like, I think there's probably something to the whole, like, if you wouldn't kill it, don't eat it.
Mm-hmm.
I probably could kill a chicken.
Yeah, me too. I think we should do that together for the next dinner
I don't
party.
know. Maybe I couldn't. I've been watching all these, like, I don't know what you call it, these YouTube videos of people who like live off the land and they can fruits and they raise chickens and,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but I don't know. I guess I could kill a chicken if I really had to, but I could definitely kill a fish.
Oh, really? Have you gone fishing? Have you
Yeah, I
killed a
used to go
fish?
fishing with my dad.
Yeah. I feel like I can kill a fish. I could kill a chicken. I could probably kill a cow as long as I didn't have to like do it with a knife. Like
You
if
could
like
kill a cow.
well, I mean cows
That
get
is
killed.
that is a fucking huge headline.
Couldn't you kill a cat? I mean, you just like push a button and they get zapped.
No, that is not. You're gonna have to kill it manually. You can't just push a button.
Uh,
That's not
really?
how I'm talking about. It's not
Oh, you mean like
outsourced.
really kill
You
it?
have to
Like
kill, I'm imagining you like slitting a cow's throat.
well, maybe I'll do that for my own therapy. It
I
can be
mean,
very
I
healing.
I think that would be really hard
You
to
know what
kill.
I couldn't kill? Actually, I couldn't kill a pig. And I eat bacon and I eat
Oh, I
pork and pork chops.
know.
But
Prosciutto
pigs are
is so good.
so cute. And like I
I
saw Babe
know.
a bunch of times
And
and
they're supposedly really smart and feeling. I
I
mean, I
know.
follow the gentle barn. I mean, this is how conflicted I am. I follow vegans and people who are like don't kill animals, and I feel it. And then there's another part of me where I'm like, just like, maybe, I don't know, maybe just humans eat animals. I don't know.
Mm. I mean, is there like when you go back from veganism to eating meat again, like is there something that you crave that like makes you stop being vegan?
I mean, I definitely think carbonara,
Yeah.
prosciutto and melon is so good.
Mhm.
Carbonara is so good. Maybe once in a while I would eat a burger or tacos or something. I don't know. But I mean, the main thing for me is carbonara.
Carbonara. Well, I mean, that I feel like next time you come over for dinner, I'll have to make you a carbonara,
No,
although
no,
I'll be a
no.
little nervous.
No pressure. I don't need it. It's not like I'm really not hinting for you to make carbonara.
I know, again, that's my own narcissism, but I guess I'm saying,
Honestly,
yeah.
the thing that I think you're the reason I'm so into your desserts is because I feel like a lot of people do desserts like not quite how I want them.
Mm,
And because I don't feel like I can make them easily myself, it's just exciting to see like a lemon cake. Like I don't think any restaurants do like a lemon cake where
right.
it's
Didn't I
like,
make you a lemon cake when you came over? I think I made
I think
one for
so,
dessert.
yeah.
Yeah, it was like a loaf cake. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like homemade desserts have their own thing about them that
They're
is
like
different from restaurant
simple.
dessert. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, the highest bar for desserts and probably food across the board, I think, is Chez Panisse
Oh, wow. I
in
didn't see you
Berkeley.
going there, but yeah, of course. Like Lindsay
It's
Scher
like,
has that book with the almond tart in it.
yeah, fruit tarts that they make where everything's like produce forward, fruit forward.
Hmm.
They wouldn't like sprinkle sugar all over the fruit. It's like I think LA people overdo it on sugar when they make desserts because they're like, you're being bad. You
Yes.
earned it, and it's just like,
Yeah.
and it's just like too much. Like,
I totally agree. I feel like this town is very like tortured. Like it's either like one way, it's like Bestia. I love going to Bestia, but it's like the richest, fattiest food. It's like I'll
mhm.
leave there and like, oh my God, I feel like I just got punched in the stomach.
Have you
But
tried burgers? Never say die. We already talked about
oh yeah,
this.
we did talk about yeah. I went back there. It was delicious. It's
Okay,
like
I've
very
been trying smash burgers because there's all these.
yeah. What?
Speaking of being out of control, I've been sampling smash burgers, and there's this whole smash burger craze sweeping LA. And I still think burgers never say die is absolutely far and away the best.
There's a new one opening in Los Feliz
I
called
know.
it's Gold
Burger
Burger.
she wrote. Oh,
Oh, I think it's called
Goldberger.
Gold Burger. Yeah, check that out.
Yeah, I tried
Um,
Goldberger.
oh, and you weren't that impressed?
It was good, but Burgers Never Say Die has a crispy patty that's salty. It's just
Yeah.
like, and
Lacy.
whatever however they sauce it or whatever, it's just like, to me, the ultimate.
Well, Chelsea, this was a very informative and delightful lunch therapy session. And I hope you feel properly therapized.
I do. This was
Okay.
good. I didn't even have
Yeah,
to pay for it.
I know. Well, enjoy your dinner tonight, whatever it ends up being. And
Okay.
let's do lunch soon in real life.
Yes. Yes. We got to get that on the books. I'm researching as we speak.
Okay. All right. Well, sounds good. I'm going to hang up now. Don't be mad if I just
Okay.
like hit end because it's just what I do.
Just press a button and a cow is dead.
There we go. All
I'm
right,
the
have a
cow.
good day. No, stop. All right. Bye.
Bye.